Mohurst, calf won't practice. Trent Cannon, concussion, won't practice. Greenlaw, groin, won't practice. Deebo, groin, won't practice. Elijah Mitchell, concussion/knee, won't practice. Emmanuel, ankle, won't practice. Jeff Wilson, knee, limited. Alex Mack and Trent won't practice, but not injury related. Go ahead.
So Warner's a full go.
Yeah, Warner's full go. Marcel's full go.
And you mentioned Elijah Mitchell knee. What's the extent of that?
I think they're calling it knee irritation right now. We didn't have the imaging back when I talked to you guys last, but some stuff makes them day to day.
With Deebo, do you expect him to be able to practice this week, or is it still?
I'm hoping to practice tomorrow. Yeah.
Week 4?
Hoping tomorrow too.
What do you see out of the Bengals when you look at the defense and how they come along?
I think it's a real good defense. They've done a real good job stopping the run this year. They do a lot schematically that keeps teams off base with their fronts and coverages, and their 11 guys play very hard too.
They're going to be missing their leading tackler, so how does that maybe change things up for them?
I mean, he's a good player and stuff. I don't think it'll change much up though. I don't think they're gonna reinvent the wheel over it, and probably expect the guy who comes in to make those tackles too.
A couple of weeks ago when Emmanuel Mosley left in the Jaguars game, Andrew Thomas came in for him immediately, and this time it obviously was Diamador who came in. What goes into that? I mean, is it how those guys practice, look during the week that kind of determines how
Yeah, they're all right there. They're all real close on about the same level. So, and we obviously haven't thought they're there to just throw in the starting position yet. So we're trying to get one of those guys to separate himself.
You mentioned Ambry's special teams on Sunday. Does that sort of suggest that he's more confident, that he's stronger? I mean, is that what you're kind of seeing when you see a guy kind of zoom in like that and make all this happen?
Yeah, it shows you're more ready to get out in the field to me. A lot of guys, it's tough if you don't look ready on special teams. It's tough to think that you're ready on offense or defense too. I think that's the spot that he did struggle in preseason, which made it tougher for him to address. Because if you aren't one of those starting guys, that's usually what makes our decision and what gives us the best chance on special teams. I think he's come very far in special teams, and I think it showed the most last week with his 3 tackles, and that's how he's been looking at defense too in practice.
Is that just sort of a physical strength difference between him and in August and him in right now?
No, just speed of the game, getting used to doing that stuff. I don't know how many times he ran down on special teams, but I mean, all that, it's great to get stronger and stuff, but just improving your bench press and squats over a 3-month period is not going to help you run down there and hit a guy. That's just about form and not hesitating and trying to go through guys.
Did you sign a running back from the tryouts yesterday?
Yes, we signed Hill, Brian, that was his first name.
Is that someone you can get ready to go Sunday? Could that happen?
Yeah, I think that was our main factor in it. He's played in this league before, and he's been on some similar offenses, so we feel like he'd be the fastest to get ready.
Where is Hasty right now, just in terms of, he's got a lot of health things, and maybe that's limited his progress. Like, where do you evaluate him in terms of?
I think Hasty came real far. I mean, I think he got a lot better this year to where he was at last year. I thought he had a hell of a training camp. So when Raheem went down, he kind of slid himself as a 3rd down back, and then he got I believe it was a high ankle sprain versus Philly, which set him back about a month. Came back in and was starting to ease in there and do some pretty good things, and then got another one, which has put him out the last month. So last week was his first practice back, and I thought he did a good job, and hopefully he'll continue to get healthier and not have any setbacks.
Just for clarification, Mitchell had an MRI and it came back?
Yeah.
Elijah?
Yeah.
Okay, so
Yeah.
he has no major damage, irritation?
Yeah, just irritation.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Kyle, you said you didn't think about putting Trey Lance in for that play that went weird that was supposed to be a zone read. Did you get any pushback at the start of the year when you used Trey on that touchdown play on the first drive? Did players have any sort of weirdness about taking Jimmy out in a successful drive?
No.
Has that been a consideration at all? Just the weirdness and the feel of taking Jimmy out?
No, I don't think players really notice or think it's weird at all. So I don't think that's a big deal at all. Just people do that. People put in wildcats. People put in a second quarterback. I mean, when you have guys who have different skill set, I'd say you'd see it on about 20 out of 32 teams, people use guys in those situations.
Well, how
I
did,
think I was pretty used to it.
sorry, how did Dante Johnson do in the second
I
half?
thought he did a real good job. Came in, didn't hesitate. He gets reps at safety, he gets reps at corner, doesn't get enough at corner, and he was ready for the moment and went in and played like a pro.
You know, you probably evaluated T. Higgins when he was coming out in the draft. What about that wide receiving core? They seem that the top three guys seem to be pretty prolific. What is this group rank, you know?
As good as anyone. I mean, I think Boyd has been one of the more underrated receivers in this league over the last 5 years. They just got looks like a pretty generational talent in Chase this year, and Higgins was one of the best receivers in the draft last year. So that's three guys: a good quarterback, good tight end, good running back.
Kyle, Eric Armstead, team nominee for Walter Payton Man of the Year again. What can you say about the kind of guy he is and the work he does off the field?
It seems like Eric does a ton. I mean, I hear about it. I've seen him talk to our team about stuff. I think he's very passionate in what he does. You know, I know he goes back to Sacramento, helps a lot where he's from, and I think he's well deserving of that award.
And how much of a help is the 2019 game preparing for them? Obviously, a lot of new talent, including quarterback and wide receiver. Is it still the basic same principles on both sides of the ball?
Yeah, they haven't changed coordinators or their philosophy. Schematically, it's very similar. Some similar players and some different players. So there's some carryovers, but stuff always changing.
Kyle, with DJ Jones, I think whenever he's been on the field in his career, he's been pretty good. He's obviously been able to stay on the field, and it seems like he's better than ever. Is that accurate? And if so, how do you think he's made that jump?
I think DJ played one of his best games for Seattle. I think DJ's always played at a pretty high level. I think he's stayed healthy this year. He's gotten hurt and finished the year in IR back to 19. I mean, he was one of our biggest losses there. I think we lost him to New Orleans week for the year. I know we lost him last year, but when DJ's out there, he's pretty much always the same guy.
So Armstead, do you think a better player inside than at end, or is he just doing what you need him to do?
I think it depends on the type of play, the type of things you're doing. Offensively, just me going against him, I think it's more of a problem inside. Just harder to avoid those guys and harder to game plan, but I know the problems he causes when he's on the outside too. I think that's one of the neat things about him, that you can put him where you think helps schematically versus what you're going against, and he can be a problem both places.
Well, when you're dealing with a series of injuries, you mentioned this a bit on Monday, how tangibly does that affect the coverage units on special teams when you have to plug and play, a guy that you just picked up off the street? How much did that hurt on Sunday?
I mean, just in general, it's one of the biggest things with injuries, not just for us, for the whole league, but the more guys that go down, I mean, that hurts you in obvious spots that everyone gets to see, but special teams usually carries most of that, because you play with guys sometimes that definitely aren't ready to be out there, because you got to put them out there so fast and they haven't been trained, and usually if they're available at that time, they're not totally ready to go out there either.
What's Nick Bosa's temperament been like throughout the season? He seems to get a sack or two a game and kind of just cruising through, but do you see any highs and lows?
I don't think Bosa changes. I mean, you guys see the way he talks.
I know.
Yeah, I mean, he's a pretty chill guy. I think he thinks a lot. He's very intelligent, but he doesn't just talk to talk. And he's not a big rah-rah guy. He loves football. He does everything he can to be prepared for those 3.5 hours on Sunday, and he does that all year around. And when he gets to Sunday, he gives it everything he's got.
For all the world that the hit that led to Elijah Mitchell's head injury was a cheap shot, a dirty hit. Wondering what you saw in that play, and if you agree with me, what you guys can do. I mean, do you alert the league? Just trust that they're going to see it too. How does the team respond when something?
We turn everything in a written report, and you send it to them with the clips, and you get a written report back, and they say whether they missed it or not, and that's about it. But I also, dirty and stuff to me usually intends that someone had intent to hurt someone on it. So that's why I don't really call it that way. I think it's 3rd and 1, and every inch matters, and guys are going hard, and the guy came around from the side, and Elijah was in a vulnerable position, and the guy hit him in a tough spot. That's why I want to say that's dirty on the guy, because I don't think he's trying to do that. He's just trying to do everything he can to stop the guy. And yeah, you wish that stuff could get seen, and you wish it could get called. I also know how fast it is to see things in the heat of battle too, for everybody.
Kyle, on that play, Elijah, immediately dropped to the ground, he dropped the ball, Trent and George immediately, waved to the sideline for help. I mean, he wasn't moving. Obviously, it's not your call to, determine if a guy has a concussion, but is that an example of like the league's protocol and the getting cleared on the sideline isn't foolproof? Because it did look like he, in that moment, had a concussion.
Yeah, I mean, he got knocked down, got hit pretty hard. I don't think there is any foolproof for that stuff. I think that's what's so tough about it. That's why they go through 3 doctors to get back. They got to go through independent doctors, and they didn't think he had concussion symptoms at the time. I know the next day he did have a headache, which with that hit combined with the headache, you definitely think concussion. That's what's tough about this league and tough about it, but that's what they're trying to get better at. I think we've gotten a lot better at that each year, but I think everybody tries to get better, and I don't think we have players on our team, especially Elijah, who if they feel concussed at the time and feel bad, they're not passing that test. Elijah felt all right, came in the next day and felt a little bit different, which happens. You come the next day with a headache, anything like that, you're gonna go on that protocol, and as you should, and take some time to get out of that.
On the safety on Sunday, is there anything that Jimmy could have done differently, or was that the play where the protection broke down?
No, that was just too bad protection right there.
Earlier in the year, you talked about one of the things you liked about a potential 2-quarterback system was that it would make the upcoming opponent have to prepare for both quarterbacks. Is it just one of those things where you found that the negatives outweigh that positive?
Yeah, and also I still continue everybody preparing for a quarterback that we might use in situational stuff.
Right.
But I also know when you put a guy in situations, they're preparing for what they expect, and sometimes you want to get the unexpected.
What happened on the
Last
fourth
one,
down
guys.
play that led to George Kittle not being on the field?
Because we didn't want to put that play. It's schematic stuff, but has to do with what we think people are best at.
All right, thanks, guys.
Thank you.